kiss and hug me. Come on strong, go on and love me. Cause outweighs that big old moon. Wake up and smell the perfume. Just say if you want to be more than friends.
Welcome everyone to another episode of Marketing Momentum with Charles and Deborah. And I'm trying not to laugh. I'm not laughing at you, Charles. I'm laughing at
It's okay, man. I mean, this thing does not, the technology doesn't like me today or something.
So, Charles, you have like, what was that email you had? Last Day on Earth email. And no, we're not talking about Charles' Last Day on Earth, just so no one panic. It's not a suicide letter or anything like that. I'm curious how that came about.
I think I just really came to the conclusion that, even though that I think information products were good. I mean, I think I put together good ones. But even just putting, everything out there, for sale as we'll say a retirement sale, it was taking up bandwidth. And so I just decided, you know what, I'm cutting the cord. Everything's coming off the market. So I literally just shut everything down. And it really is. That's it. It's not, it's not ever coming back. And I've actually allowed some people to purchase rights to it. But as far as I'm concerned, I mean, that's just kind of done. And the reason really is that, I've really got my focus on, the show that I do, which is, that I'm doing primarily here in Harrisburg, because I think I have the economics worked out right, that I understand it better, and that it really does just require a lot of focus. When it's going to actually be doing what I need it to do, I don't know that, but here's what I know. I know that the longer I put off giving it, I don't know, 100%, it's never going to do it. And there are a lot of ways that I guess I could supplement, and I guess I'll just be a little transparent, this thing. There are a lot of ways I could really supplement that show. There's a lot of ways I could really take care of myself until I do what any other small business owner does, which is you're sort of waiting for, your part of the hockey stick where it's going to go like this. So what do you do until then? Well, I sold information products, and just between us girls here, that's a business, right? So you can't do that and then work on a business. You've got to run that like a business, and so it takes bandwidth. So that means it takes thinking about how you're going to do certain things at night. Well, so the show was always getting like my second best, because I'm thinking about, well, how am I going to run this thing, which is going to keep me afloat until my business gets going? Well, it wasn't happening. And the reason it wasn't happening is because it takes up time as a business would. So that was the decision. The decision was, okay, you know what? That's not why I'm in this game. That's not why I'm doing what I'm doing. I like creating information products. I like that it helps marketers. I like what it does, but that's not why I'm in this. That's not why I'm doing this. Otherwise, I mean, I'll just go to the classroom. I'll go to teach. That's the reason I'm in this game, is that show. Mm-hmm. And so I have to give it what is due. And I can't do that. And effectively, do it. So now what I've got to do is I've got to totally reconstruct kind of how I approach, this business. I understand the business model of the show. So I've just got to kind of make things work until the show is doing what I need it to do. Now, I know that every other blogger that I know, and I don't know if I classify myself as a blogger, but I know that most bloggers will take on freelance work, and I've always done freelance work, still do sometime. I was okay with doing freelance work, unless it just took over, what I was really building. But that wasn't the case. It was the business I had to run that kind of took over the real business, right? So I had
That makes a lot of sense, actually.
I had to just say, okay, you know what? Yes, it benefited the people, and I was compensated well for the fact that it did. And here's the other kicker. I would say it actually gives me, in a sense, it gave me more time. But I think everybody you've ever taken an undergraduate business course, the first thing you learn in economics is opportunity cost, right? So what you're getting, so what if you're getting this amount? What is the opportunity cost for that? Because for every minute that I spend or every dollar I make doing X, that means that's a dollar I can't make doing Y. And so if Y is the real goal, right, then everything I'm making with X doesn't really matter unless it gets me close to this. So that was the whole decision. And it's a little uncomfortable and a little unsettling, but it had to be done. So I took everything off the market. Everything. I don't want anybody to be able to buy anything. I don't want anybody because I don't want to answer any support requests about it. I don't want to answer any questions about. And it's not because I mean, I know all my customers, a lot of them personally, right? I know a lot of them. I mean, a lot of people
I'm a customer. I love your stuff.
Right. I mean, and I know people like I know you, and so maybe that's a flaw in how I do business because of my price point, right? Maybe I didn't set the price point high enough. But that being said, I'm not even going to deal with that. The fact of the matter is, regardless of what the price point was, even if it was $7,000 for what I was selling, it would still not be the reason I'm in this business, because $7,000 would not be enough to take me away from what I wanted, this thing that I'm doing in Harrisburg, and the whole, and taking your talents to Main Street. It would not be enough, because that is the reason why I'm not teaching. That's the reason why I'm not doing other things. I mean, I could go work at FedEx for all I care. I mean, you know what I mean? Because all that other stuff is not why I feel like, I'm doing business.
Well, actually, are you sure you weren't like at midnight or something, while I was sleeping in cahoots with Michael and talking to him? Because it's like, wow, I wasn't trying to make you, like, put you on the spot and make it transparent, but what you're sharing actually makes a lot of sense to me with my music. Because it's like, I started this whole thing as far as broadcasting, social web cafe, everything, to support the music, because I really wanted to, hey, I love to make money making music too, but look, we're not out there. So many people can get music for free that if you stick all your eggs in one basket and think that you're going to make $1 million in CD sales, hey, it's like when I make my CDs, they're almost like promo gifts. Yeah, I just hand out my CDs. Yeah, so guys, come find me. I'll just give you a CD, whatever. I just want to share. So I didn't want my music, my passion, to be like adulterated by this need for money or whatever. So I thought, hey, we'll just start the show and that will fund the music. But then last night, my husband found this beautiful song. I mean, one of those songs that just almost like you're exercising your voice. I suppose for an athlete, it would be something that makes them feel like they're using all their muscles or something. That's the only thing I can describe it.
No, I know exactly.
Honey, come sing this. I'm like, oh, I don't have time. I have to do this. I've got to get this info product.
Exactly.
Like, we're talking 3.5 minutes. Do you have time to do it? It's like, so I like begrudgingly, my poor husband, as he's watching this, begrudgingly came and sang it, and I'm like, oh my goodness, this is why I do what I do. I forgot my first love. It is,
and yeah, and it's funny because I don't think it has anything to do with. First, I thought, well, it's this new age of things where a lot of us are freelancing and a lot of us aren't doing full-time jobs. I don't think that that's it. I think, part of this whole game has always been to kind of get into the thing where you're your sort of bent and where you provide the most value. And that's not to say that either one of us don't provide value in these other things. It's just that you know what that music can do. You know what that can be. It's like all of us grow to the point where we play not to lose. And maybe some of that is some of what you do when you come out of corporate, right? And I know there are a lot of refugees watching us, because I think we attract that. I think we probably like some of these cubicle rats. They kind of come and they're kind of feeling us because we sort of know the whole deal, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you learn how to play not to lose. That's effectively what you do. That's how you keep from getting your head shot off. That's how you get to the corner office. You play just long enough not to lose, and then when you get to a point where you got to play to win, you play the game and you get it done.
Oh my goodness, that's so true. I'm not the same person I was before corporate America. I don't put up with the same.
No, exactly.
I used to.
Right. No, you just don't have the same. You're just not going to put up with that, with some of the stuff that you did, right? And you're going to be outspoken in areas you just would have never have been outspoken before. So some of that, some of us have brought to whatever you want to call it, self-employment, entrepreneurship, and what happens is it delays the real thing. Now, that doesn't mean that the Gain Mindshare Business Hour could crash and burn. However, let's say that it does. If I don't get to that point for 5 years, that's a problem, right? Because I will have destroyed, an income producing property that comes behind that. In other words, let's say that the real thing that's going to do the hockey stick comes after failing that thing. But if I don't get there fast, right, because I'm not putting 100% into this thing, then that's a problem, because I've delayed what's going to happen, and I delayed getting to the real deal. So I said, well, okay, as you said, my wife is kind of, she's been behind this thing, ever since. So, we're sucking it up, and we're going to make some things happen, but I have to give 100%. And everything else was kind of taken away, from everything from sending a support email to promoting on email. And I'm still going to promote things on email, but it takes time. And I never realized that to write an email that promotes something takes me. Now, it doesn't have to take everybody this. Probably takes me an hour and a half or two. I mean, because I'm anguishing over every single little word. I don't want to just throw it together, because I know that, each one of those words have to be right if it's going to mean something, if it's going to matter. And anytime I throw an email together, I just wasted my time, right? It's like it never has any effect. But when I take my time, sit down, write an email, and it takes me an hour or two to do it before it's done, that email, doesn't matter what I'm asking people to do, it matters, because and that being said, well, that's 2 hours, right? That's 2 hours I can't call guests. That's 2 hours I can't write people. That's 2 hours I can't interview people. And I've said to you that, I felt really, how you have intuition about certain things. Some people, call it the voice of God. Some people some people stand on their head and let the blood rush to their head. I mean, you just kind of get these intuitions.
Cereal or no.
Right, exactly. Anchovies the day before. But I really had intuition about, and I think I even shared with you about, okay, I need to join Mixergy. Right? Not liked what the guy did, but, and some of what he does in there, some people are not all that impressed. But okay, so I joined Mixergy, and here's the thing that I got right off the bat. And apparently, he's got a staff of people, and I know that. But guy's doing a lot of interviewing, a lot of it, and he's not doing everything else, not doing anything else. So maybe he's doing consulting, but it's secondary to what he's doing there. And so, every day something new comes up there. There's a new something. There's a new interview, even if it's 5 or 10, and it's him in real time. And so I know what that takes. And you know what it takes too.
Oh my
You know it
goodness.
takes time to get a guest.
Yep.
It takes time to rope them in. It takes time to make them feel at ease. It takes time to get to know them so that you know they're not going to embarrass you, right, before you get on the air with them. All that stuff could possibly take 4 or 5 hours out of a day if you did it consistently. And that's just to get one guest, right?
Yep.
So if you don't do any of that stuff, you don't have guests, right? So
This is true.
so I'm saying,
Sorry.
I was talking to my wife. I said, there are not enough guests on here, and I just started looking at my time, and I said, well, what am I spending my time doing? I'm not spending my time twiddling my thumbs. I'm not eating bonbons. I'm not watching reruns of Seinfeld. I'm not doing any of that stuff, right? And okay, I'm doing the things that I need to do in order to kind of sustain things until things take root. But all of those things, right, taking 2 hours to write an email, dealing with support requests, working on the next product, working on the last product, working on the membership site, it all takes time, and it's all playing not to lose. So I have to play to win. I have to play to win. So I'm willing to kind of forego that, and I don't think I'm going to the poorhouse. I mean, I'm just going to have to work a little harder, maybe at freelancing, until that show takes off. And every time I get on with somebody, I am reminded why I do it. And every time I talk to somebody, a business owner, I'm reminded why I do it. I'm reminded why the effect. Now, all of this really kind of was predated until I really had to understand, okay, I have to understand the economics of this show, right? And it has to be more than, we can get into some of the nuts and bolts. And like I said, I'll just be transparent. I like corporate sponsorship, but it's corporate sponsorship is episodic, right? So I have to be able to figure out, okay, I can't, everybody else wants their money monthly, right? So, I mean, I could be waiting for a corporate sponsor, but they're not going to say, I can't tell them, hey, you know what, my sponsor's going to come, they're coming through and I'm going to take care of you then. Can't do that. And even as you're building, right? So, if I got to go out and I've got to get equipment, right? I've got to get it. I mean, I've got to figure out, how do you fund these things? How do you fund these things that you need to do? Well, you've got to have a baseline of revenue in the business. And I guess in terms of marketing, especially with a content marketer like you and I mean, somehow or another, that effort, right, the effort that we make has to be monetized when we get up out of the chair. Because otherwise, then you're really talking about burnout. Because if the content effort somehow or another, when we get up out of the chair, if we haven't made any money, right? If we get up out of the chair, we haven't made any money, then we got to work another hour or two later, right? In order to make something happen, that's gonna lead to a year or two of that. You're gonna crash. And so what I said, okay, well, let me take a step back, right? And let me try to figure out what the business model could be. Well, I could bring a guest on, right? And everybody who's ever done an interview show, they've kind of thought about this. And my show's local, so I don't feel any competition. And even if somebody does do a local show, I figured out that doesn't affect me, right? If somebody else does a show in Harrisburg, small business, doesn't affect me, doesn't matter to me. Okay, I could sell affiliate products, but that would require me to bring on guests that sold products. And I don't care how good you are, right, at leading guests, it's hard not to have a contrived interview and have people not feel like you really just kind of took me for a ride for 25 minutes and then you hit me at the end. So if I did that consistently, that would not be cool, because I wouldn't want to come back to a show if every day, Charles brought on this guy who just happens to have this information product or something to sell. I don't even want to deal, you know what I mean? If they have it, they have it. If they don't, they don't. I don't even want to go there. And I'm willing to, and I'm not above having an affiliate link. I just don't want to set up the show that way. That's my personal preference. I know people who set up their show so that that's what they do. They sell affiliate products, which is fine. I just don't want to do that way for a local show, right? So I don't want to do that totally. I do want to, I will sell some and I will do some, but it's not what the show's about. I could make it so that it sold an event that I'm going to do. I'm perfectly open to that. But once again, it's the same thing as a corporate sponsorship. It's episodic, right? So I've got to launch, right, in order to kind of get things so that they're steady, and I've got to live between the launch. So what do? If you got this, if you're waiting for a big launch in order to get the next camera you got to get, or to get the next piece of, and let's face it, in what we do, and anybody who's a content marketer today, I don't care who you are, you're going to have to spend some money, right? You got to spend some money. You can't, and you can't get, this, you can get this free version for, you can get this does the same thing Camtasia does, and you can get it for $34. You can't run a business that way. So you got to be able to spend some money, and so if you can't spend it in between it there because you're sort of waiting for the big hit, that's not the thing. So I don't want to rely on that. I'm willing to do events, and I want to do events, and I will do events. I don't want that to be the thing I'm going to rely on. So what I'm turning to is both advertising, because I understand it, and AdSense. And direct advertising, right? So advertising, direct advertising, and AdSense, I can monetize the basic baseline. I can do events, then I can do online events. I can sell affiliate products. But I'm not going to rely on any of that stuff because it's hit or miss, and I've learned that it's hit or miss from having done a products business before. I learned that. I learned how episodic it is, because some days I might
cherry on top more so. I mean, you're looking at, okay, here's my budget. What is it that I'm going to do consistently? It's going to cover that budget. And then some of these other things, that might be the cherry or the bushel of cherries or whatever that come in that really help you move forward if it works out successfully. And if it doesn't, if for some reason, there's an earthquake in the building where do you have earthquakes there? Anyway,
we do. Right? Yeah, we do.
The event, you're not lost because you have that mainstay.
Yeah, I mean, you and I have been talking about okay, well, should I be doing my show, and should I be doing hangouts at the same time? And of course the answer is yes, but my thinking was impaired by my equipment, right? It might take $10,000 to put the right equipment in here. So is the answer, the answer to try to rig it up or to not do it because I don't have the right stuff, or is the answer to get the $10,000? The answer is to get the $10,000 and stop worrying about it. So
excellent. And thank you so much. I always enjoy these shows. I feel so inspired after I talk to Charles Terrence Harper.
Yep, and you too, Deborah. I mean, for sure. And I think that the folks who are hearing us, they know that we dig them too.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. Thank you for listening, guys. Thanks for tuning in.
Right on. Take care, everybody.
Don't you want to kiss and hug me? Come on, strong, go on and love me. As outweighs that big old moon. Wake up and smell the perfume. wanna be more than friends. Got some love I'd like to make. Baby, you can squeeze me, I won't break. We could be in a paradise, you and me. Until then, I'll remind you again. Just say when. Oh yeah, until then, I'll remind you again. Just say when. Oh baby, just say when.